Hi, it's me, Zephyr Beeblebrox, the British tech guru. Today I want to talk about what's going on with the Arduino IDE. And hey, I am British. It is T, it's a Sam T. And I'm almost American, almost. You normally never drink tea out of a mug and never with a tea bag. That is probably about as colonial as I'll get. Anyway, I'm talking about the Arduino IDE, and I get a lot of problems trying to get it to work on Linux Mint. Now, when I buy a laptop, I buy a cheap laptop, and I've had a MacBook, and I loved my MacBook, but after 7 years of wonderful, glorious use, the graphics card died, so the screen kept going dark. Okay. So I thought might be battery related, because the battery had also died. So I bought myself a new battery, but no, it was the graphics card. And then straight after that, I think the hard drive died. So that MacBook was glorious for 7 years. And at $1,000 or $1,100 when I bought it in 2007, that was quite a lot of money. And what have I got now? I paid $250 about 5 years ago for an Asus E203MA. The specification is not that great, but it does everything I need it to. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I missed a bit. The first thing I did when I got it was to delete Windows and put Linux Mint on. And under Linux Mint, it has performed flawlessly for 5 years. The battery life has gone down from 10 hours to 2 hours. The letters on some of the keys have rubbed off, but it is still working, and it is still a pretty darn good laptop. And at 11.6 inches, it's the perfect size for me. I don't like a big laptop. I never have. And they're just big, bulky, and cumbersome. Give me a small screen and a small laptop anytime. And a bigger screen, yeah, if you want to do coding and on a large scale, on an industrial scale. But on this one, I've written programs. I've written one novel. I've updated my other book. Yeah, and it's and I've done quite a lot with blogs and websites. It's not the one I do my video editing on. That's my other laptop, which is another Asus. That's got a 14-inch screen, and it only has a 14-inch screen because I couldn't get one with an 11.6. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that probably my 5-year-old one is just about on its last legs. I did see Best Buy had another one with the L22 or L220, something like that, for $189. That'd probably be my next laptop, if they're still selling them then. Because I do like a small screen, and I don't like paying a lot for a laptop. I've been there, done that. And at $1,000 for 7 years, that's slightly over $100 a year, about $150 a year. Now, 5 years, and I spent $250, that's $25 a... Oh my God, somebody's shooting again. On a Sunday. Mind, I am out in the countryside. I grew up in the countryside. Grew up in the countryside in Britain. Now in the countryside in the US. I've tried living in cities. I can't stand it. I really can't. I need my space. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. So the problem I've noticed with the Arduino stuff is that the Arduino software does not seem to be available for Linux. And sure, the downloadable Arduino software in the Linux Mint store does work, but only if you use the Arduinos specified. The Arduino software downloaded from the Arduino website does not have an installer, and for the life of me, I can't figure out how I'm supposed to use it or install it. And I followed the installation instructions, and let's just face it, the instructions were crap. And it never worked on my laptop because of that. This is my one of my gripes about modern computing. We've had what I would call modern computers for 40 years. And I had a fairly modern computer when I had my VIC-20 back in 1983, 40 years ago. And people had ZX80s, ZX81s. They were modern computers. And in 40 years, nobody has learned to write a flaming manual? God Bennett, that's ridiculous. Anyway, so I looked on and I've been getting problems with the ATtiny88. Well, and I've gone as far as call that a scam, because it claims to be Arduino, yet will not run on the on any of the Arduino software I've been able to give it. I looked up their website, and there seems to need to use Atmel Studios. Well, Atmel Studio app, or the Atmel Studio app, only seems to be available for Windows. Now, I have two laptops. Neither of them run Windows. They both run Linux. So, what's going on? So, it looks like I might need to get that L220 and just run Windows on it. When I'll do that, I'm not sure. They might even stop selling them by then. But I definitely want an 11.6-inch laptop. Brand new. I don't buy anything secondhand. Some things you do not buy secondhand. Shoes, electronics, condoms. You do not buy any of those secondhand. So, yeah, and there's a good reason why you don't buy electronics secondhand. They're secondhand because they're slow, or they've begun to fail. Now, going for a long story now. About 30 years ago, I made a mistake. I bought myself a second-hand IBM ThinkPad. It was a lovely machine, it really was. It took me several days to put the operating system on, because the operating system I wanted to put on it was NT4, and that came on a CD, which meant I had one floppy disk, and I had to copy each individual bit onto a floppy disk, transfer it to the ThinkPad, and keep repeating until I put 500 megabytes of operating system on, using a 1.44 megabyte disk. Took me a long time. Anyway, that worked wonderfully with NT4, and it had, when I bought it, it had Windows 98 on it, which was, oh my God, terrible. So I put NT4 on, and it was brilliant. The only thing it lacked was USB handling. And back then, I really didn't care about USB handling. And in the end, what killed that was bits kept failing on it. And I used that for about, probably about 2 months, and then bits started failing. And I replaced all the bits with new bits. And by the end of probably 6 months, I realized I'd spent probably 2/3 of the price of a brand new laptop, and I still only had a piece of junk. A slow piece of junk that wouldn't do half of the things I wanted to do. That's when I learned never to buy second-hand electronics, second-hand computers. So it looks very much as though I'm going to need to get the an L220 and leave it with Windows just to do Android, not Android, Arduino. Probably be a virus magnet, being Windows. This is why I prefer. Well, I prefer Linux for a whole load of reasons. Number one is stability. Number two is you don't generally get viruses on Linux. And number three, it has a smaller footprint. And when you've got an operating system that's so bloated it takes up several gigabytes, like Windows, small hard drives are not very helpful. You need a big hard drive. And most of these things only have a 64 gigabyte solid state drive. Although I do gather that Windows can use the SD card as an extension to the hard drive. That's a pretty good idea, and I might do that this time and keep all my data on an SD card. It just kind of makes a little bit more sense, possibly, maybe, in a kind of convoluted, roundabout way. But yeah, that might be the answer to my Arduino problems. It might not. I'll just have to wait and see. I can't remember what I was going to talk to you about in the first place. It happens when you get to 56. Anyway, so I'll talk to you again in the next video. And I'm Zephyr Beeblebrox, the British Tech Guru.